folks, how are we doing?
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, Alistair. Hello, John.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm good.
How are you? Hi, Freddie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so jealous of you being at the King's coronation. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I hope you had a great day. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was good, right? Great weather.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. Lovely just now. And I've just been talking with colleagues in Barbados. We're looking at a relationship with the University of the West Indies in Barbados. And it's funny, all of a sudden, you've got folks coming out of the woodwork. Well, I'll do that. I'll do that. And we're doing stuff with University in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. And who wants to go? Anyway, yeah, good. Well, listen, this is we took this out to the different branches in Scotland as well. So when the folks sent me the list yesterday, there was nearly 85 signed up. So that's brilliant. Given that the normal for the Tayside branch, if we get 20, it's rocking. So it's really great, Freddie, that folks are so interested in this.
And also, we have a very short time to do this, right? Yeah.
So no pressure, but you've got a real chance here to get this message across to folks. So great. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and thank you for setting it up. Yeah. So now you see why I say your role. John, just so you know, I describe Alistair's role in the SG as the Ronaldo of our team. Yeah,
Ronaldo.
Either Ronaldo or Messi, Neymar, doesn't matter, right? He's a goat. Yeah?
Decrepit, past their best, worthless.
That's not true.
All of those things.
Right, that's why you get invited to the King's coronation, right? That's to prove the point, isn't it? Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Alistair. I mean, because of your influence, it helps us to get the message out wider too. So thank you. Yeah, it's this would not have happened without us having that connection, right?
No, it's good. No, everybody's in it together, and you've been a fantastic driving force in this. It is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, but it's not down to me. It's all of us, right? With you, you know what I mean.
Do you want to try sharing your screen, Freddie?
So I was just trying to be creative with maybe if I can give credit to hopefully, because normally people find the topic quite they're of interest, but it's also very hard to make it interesting, right?
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good. That looks great.
And who will be starting the recording?
We've already started it, so what we'll do is the editing team will just get it cut for us, so they'll have a quick look through when it starts. But I've been burnt too many times by saying, well, we'll just press record when we start, and then the recording doesn't.
Do I need to ask people? Do I need to warn people that it's been recorded and do it that way? And if anybody wishes to drop out, then they can do.
Yeah, I mean, is this a presentation?
It's a presentation, and we've got questions towards the end. So
so I think if anyone's worried about recording, I think if you just encourage them to use a chat to type in their questions, and then they won't be captured. Chat doesn't get captured into the recording.
Right. I'm never sure whether we have to say whether we just tell them that we're recording it or whether we ask whether anybody objects. But I'm quite happy to go with the telling them that we're doing it, and if anybody wants to remain anonymous, they can send a message through the chat. Okay. So.
Yeah, and also, John, I think because you say you're going to sort of edit this at the beginning, and maybe you can also do the same thing at the end. Yeah, let's say when we get to the Q&A, maybe that's the bit that we can also stop there, right?
Yeah, if you'd like, what I'll do is I'll make a note so you can just have a clean recording of the presentation.
Yeah, because normally, at least in our SG, we tend to ask people, and Alistair, maybe you can say a few words here too. you okay for people to record the question and answers at the end? Because I know some people, they don't feel comfortable.
No,
You
well,
know.
what I'll do is I'll ask them
You
to
ask, yeah.
save questions till the end and not interrupt, because we could get dragged away on
Yeah.
stuff. We'll aim to stop the presentation about 6:45-ish, if that's okay, Freddie.
Yeah.
I know you'll have 324 slides to go through, but you can do that in 45 minutes. That's no bother. Come on, if you're Clyber. And then I'll open it up for questions then.
That's fine.
Great. Good. John, do you want me to do anything with the recording at the end? Do you want me to, or does it just stop when we leave?
Yeah, so it's recording to cloud. So as soon as the meeting's over, the recording will the team will be able to pick it up from our Zoom account, and they send it over. We've got an agency we worked with for a long time who just do all of the editing for us. So they
Fantastic.
I've just sent a note to the team just so they pick it up when they put it on the workflow to just cut out Q&A and chat and stuff.
And will we make this available both at the Tayside branch, but also through the special interest group? We'll put it on there as well. Is that okay? And there's this weird entity, BCS Scotland, that, you know, I don't even know what status it really has, but I'm a member of it. So I think it is the Scottish branches get together every now and again. So, but I don't know if they've got a web presence. I'm not sure that they do.
Yeah, they have some web presence, but I think largely Tayside and Edinburgh are probably the only active branches in Scotland at the moment.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, but I've been speaking to David Murray about how we can
How we can do that.
How we can bring everyone together in Scotland again, because it feels like it could have a bigger impact if we just worked maybe closer across the region in the country.
Okay. And I should probably put that onto my list of things to do and what talk to you about. And
take over Scotland,
take over Scotland. That's fine.
Yeah.
I did try to move Hadrian's Wall down to the Tees in my 30 years in the northeast of England, and I didn't manage that. So. Good. Super. So it's full starting to come in. That's great.
Right. I'll what I'll do now is I'll give you full host permissions, Alistair.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to run through with me beforehand? Otherwise, I'll drop off and leave you guys to the show. Great. Let me just change that for you. Great. So you've got all the permissions. What I'll do is I'll drop you.
Giving me control.
Giving you
Can Freddie control the slides? Can you move the slides, Fred?
Let me try.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you should.
Yep, I can.
I'm not seeing that moving though. Oh no, there it is. That's fine now. Okay, cool. No, fantastic. Thanks, mate.
Alistair, I'll drop you my email, and I mean, I'm sure nothing will go wrong, but if there's any need,
no, thanks, John. I really
telephone number. Even.
Really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Bye.
Great. Are you okay? Everyone all right with you?
Yeah, a busy week. Yesterday, the DPA launched the National Delivery Plan. So
brilliant.
Part of this presentation will be covering that, which is useful, right, for the audience.
That was brilliant. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, the one time that I could come to a committee meeting on Thursday, you've pulled it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, because of the launch event in Leeds. Yeah, so you can sign up for that one, but it's at a different time. Yeah, 11 to 2.
You know, it's just sod's law. I've got the 25th is I'm absolutely chaotic all day, but I had I was actually using the committee meeting to get out of going to a leaving do, So I'm gonna have to go to the leaving do now. So
Oh, but they wouldn't know, right? They wouldn't know, right?
because we've got a executive dinner with Dundee University later on, and they in the evening. So I'm going to be in the office. So if I'm there, the people will know that I'm not going to
I see.
the event.
And how's the role? How's the role? Are you enjoying it?
Good. No, it's good. This you know, it's really different. It's interesting. There's it's you know that thinking executively rather than getting your hands dirty is quite a different approach. And that my go-to space is to get stuck in and do things, and it's
hard, yeah.
It is difficult not to tinker and get involved, but no, it's you know, I'm enjoying it. It's I'm very fortunate that my vice chancellor is absolutely fantastic, and she's very, very supportive.
That's really good,
also
right?
a computer scientist, so and a past president of the BCS. So you know,
what a small world, yeah.
Well, it is. We're in that.
So hey, listen, there's one thing I want to make you aware, and I want to get your support. Yeah. So you know, a few weeks ago in April, my company, we do this Digital Universities Week in Leeds. Yeah. And we did a call to action to create a higher education sector-wide digital inclusion strategy.
Yeah.
So if I can count on you to be part of that.
Oh, of course, Freddie. And you know what my time's like, and it's a nightmare. But I'll get involved in anything that you want me to. That'd be fantastic.
Thank you. I'll let them know that I can include Aberdeen University as one of the you know,
definitely
in the network.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's it, because we're trying to get the sector together. Yeah.
Yeah, I am talking to trustee board in a couple of weeks. I've got an update, but I do mention the digital divide stuff. And I've also become one of the founding trustees of the BCS Foundation. And I'd really like to link the BCS Foundation to what it is that you're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you. That is so great.
Cool. Right. I'm going to admit people and we'll see how things are. That's a couple of minutes to go. Okay.
Okay.
There's people joining. It's always that worrying piece when Hi, Margaret.
Hello there. Hi.
How are you? Well, I was just going to say, can you hear me?
Oh,
and
yes,
you've either done very well with the telepathy or that you can hear me and I can hear you. So can I just check that you can see Freddie's slides, Margaret?
Sorry?
Can you see Freddie's slides?
Yes, I can see Freddie clearly. I can see you, Freddie. I see you also clearly.
Hello.
Fantastic.
And I can hear Freddie.
Good. That's all that matters. Ewan, can you nod as well if you can hear? Oh, there we are. We're laughing.
It's fallen off.
Oh no.
Mind you, we seem to have lost Freddie now.
Oh no, you don't do this. Don't leave me. Just about to introduce him.
I'm looking forward to this. It sounds as if it's going to be a very interesting session.
Well, now that he's back, it was going to be a bit bland if I was doing it. But Freddie's back, so we're here. Okay, folks, that's 6 o'clock. Well, there's a couple. I'm going to be multitasking. This is going to be fun. There we are. So I'll admit focus we go along. Folks, a very good evening. A very warm welcome to BCS Tayside and Fife branch event. My name is Alistair Irons. I'm the chair of Tayside and Fife branch. And my day job, I am vice principal, deputy vice chancellor at the University of Aberdeen. I'm also vice president of the BCS, so I'm heavily involved with the BCS, both the UK and in BCS Scotland. You're all very, very welcome. I'm delighted so many people are coming to the event tonight, which is in no small measure great thanks to my friend and colleague, Freddie Quek. Freddie's done a fantastic piece of work over the last 2 years, raising awareness around the digital divide, digital poverty, and has established and set up the special interest group on digital inclusion, which is absolutely fantastic. He's been at the forefront of pushing the agenda, the digital inclusion, digital equity agenda onto so many of the BCS activities. It's absolutely fantastic. Not wishing to steal any of his thunder, but we've got a huge piece of work to do. And this is one of the things that the BCS can be upfront and centre about, and really making a difference as we go to our 4 principles, and in particular looking at what we can do to make society a better place and safer place for everybody. So a couple of housekeeping notices, if I may. We're going to record the session, so if anybody is unhappy about losing their anonymity in the recording, please put any questions that you might have or comments you might have in the chat, and we can anonymize that. If you would be so kind to keep your questions to the end, we'll aim to finish about 6:45-ish from Freddie's presentation. There'll be time to ask questions then. Okay, so without any further ado, Freddie, over to you.
Thank you, Alistair. Good evening, everybody. I'm really delighted to be joining you from Oxford. That's where I live. When Alistair asked me to do this, it was a no-brainer, because what I hope you will find from today's presentation is that we all have a role to play in this. Yeah, and I have purposely chosen this title for a number of reasons. And one of them is, there's a movie out there that is called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and it was just a play of words, just to so maybe make this interesting a bit more interesting for people who are trying to think, what is this all about? But I'm hoping that for those of you who are sort of seeing beyond the title, that this is indeed a really challenging issue, society issue, that we have a role to play, especially BCS members, right? Because if you look at the mission of the BCS, it's about making IT good for society. So I'm hoping that today I'm able to share with you what I know, so that we all can do something about this really huge topic that really requires everybody to do something. So my agenda is, as you can see here, the introduction. I'll be explaining to you what the SG is, the specialist group is doing. What is everything, which is about the what and the why. What is everywhere, which is about the where, and what is everyone, which is about when and how. And in conclusion, about how each one of us can do something about this really huge issue. So the Digital Divide Specialist Group was formed back in November 21. And you can see here, our group seeks to champion and facilitate digital inclusion for all in terms of improvements in access to skills, technology, and infrastructure. So when we started this SG, these are just words, but I'm hoping that you can see the work that we do in the past year. Now it's more than 1.5 years. That you feel strong enough that you would also want to come and join us to help us to really get the message out there and doing something constructive and active about this topic. And I'm the chair, and the vice chair is Dave Donaghy. Our sponsor is Julia Adamson, who is also head of education at BCS. And we also have 2 members of the policy team that help us to get this thing going. So you can see when we started at the beginning, we have 3 BCS presidents involved because it's one of the core 4 priorities for the BCS. And before we started, we already had 2 webinars, one on digital capital, the other one on tackling digital divide. And it took us 12 months to get this thing going. And at that time, we have 5 DPA members. I hope that there will be a lot more Digital Poverty Alliance members now. And we started with 50 founding members, right? And some of them are here today. Alistair is here, Margaret is here, and they are more than founding members. They're also part of the committee. We are also doing this not on our own. We are collaborating with as many part of BCS as possible. So I'm hoping that today we are making a stronger connection with Scotland, with the branches there, with the specialist group there, so that, you know, and hopefully you'll see in my presentation why this is not, you know, some of the things that we have seen BCS to be, which is a sort of a vertical specialist area about a very technical topic of interest. You'll find that this is actually a horizontal cross-cutting thing that affects everybody and anybody. And this is why we need to be doing more stuff together. And you will hear again me using this word, joining the dots. Right, here's an example. We're working with a woman in IT, in the BCS. We're also working very closely with the neurodiverse IT specialist group. We're also working with local branches such as the Bath and Bristol branch. We're also working with Margaret's branch, Hampshire branch. Right, so hopefully today, after this presentation, we are also making a few more connections with the branches in Scotland. So everything, this is about the what and why. So what is the problem? If you look at the terminology, there are so many of them. Divide, exclusion, inclusion, poverty, inequality, access, participation, the list is endless, right? And so that's one of the challenges that we have. But the other challenge that we have is also to really understand that this is a multi-dimensional issue. When we think that it's about the have and the have-nots, meaning whether you have a device or not, it's more than that, right? Another dimension is about people who can and people who can't. And we think that, okay, maybe the people who can't, we can solve that by giving them skills. That's not true, because there's yet another dimension, which is about the people who will and people who will not. And there are reasons why. It could be due to trust, it could be due to confidence, it could be due to motivation. Yeah, so there are parts that we can do, but there's also parts where we need the beneficiary to be able to want to do this. So therefore, I just want people to understand it's not just about what we always, at least how I started with, thinking that it's just giving people access to a device. So what I want to make everybody aware is that this is, everything that we do these days is digitally based. And digital is no longer the exclusive domain of certain people or certain group of people. It's not a luxury. It's essential. It affects how we all use it for work, how we use it for our personal life, you know, how we are dependent on it for things that we do to get on with life, and also for entertainment, right? So there's a lot of things that wraps up in this thing called digital that we're all part of. We don't have a choice. But yet, by the same token, we have people who are suffering from digital poverty. And here is one definition from the DPA, which is about the inability to interact with the online world fully, when, where, and how an individual needs to. So I'm not here to have a debate with anybody about the definition. What I'm saying is that we need to have a way to relate to this, and this is one example. And I'm so delighted that we now have the establishment of the Digital Poverty Alliance that I will speak about a little later on, about why it's important for the DPA to be here. So everywhere, why does it matter? So we would have seen lots of statistics around this issue. It affects 1 in 5 children in the UK due to poverty. It affects people who need digital skills to get on with their daily lives. It affects 30% of 65-year-olds, right? That's one side. And if you look at some of the key stats from the DPA, you have 1.7 million households that do not have access to the internet, right? So these are numbers. And the point that I want to make is that, you know, whichever term we use, inclusion, exclusion, poverty, divide, this is not a separate thing that we should be treating it in that manner, right? It is actually intertwined with everything that we do today. If somebody is suffering from food poverty, you can bet that digital has just added on another dimension to their situation. Right, and again, if you look at cost of living crisis, it's the same. If you look at anything that affects us, somebody who's suffering from some health issues and they need healthcare, that's yet another dimension. It's all part and parcel of what we are all dealing with today. It's not something else that is on its own separately. And also, this is not just a localized issue in Scotland or in England, but it's a global issue. If you look at these numbers here, right, in this day and age, where we have taken digital for granted, we've taken internet access for granted, there's all these numbers. By the way, these numbers are in millions. Millions of people are still being disconnected today. How can it be when we are in this digital world where we just take it for granted, and yet there are so many people that's been completely excluded, either because of some issues or through no fault of their own? This is why this is such a huge issue. So, the BCS, as you know, the purpose is to make IT good for society. We have created this specialist group within the BCS to focus on making sure that nobody gets left behind digitally. And we're also linking up with the Digital Poverty Alliance, where they would like to help the UK focus on ending digital poverty by 2030. It's not very far away, and some people have challenged it to say, but clearly that is not achievable or realistic. But from my perspective, I say it's always good to have a marker in the sand, because now we know what we're dealing with here, right? And if we are able to focus on 2030 as a deadline to do something, the chances of something happening will be far greater than not having anything to aim for, okay? And not only that, you can see BCS is a global organization. BS is also a regional organization. BCS is also a national organization, and therefore it has a tremendous opportunity, we as part of the BCS, to be helping, to be joining up at all these levels. Alistair, you're just talking to me early on before we started about, some colleagues from Jamaica or somewhere making that connection, right? And it's because we have that reach. So let's find a way to make sure that we are able to tap into that. Now, this is coming to everyone, right? It's about the when and the how. So starting to share with you about the BCS SG, sometimes you don't really know what you've done until you look at it. If you look at this simple timeline here, and I'm not going to talk through all the details, but if you look at November, in the right column, BCS SG, in November 21, that's where we started having our first informal call to say we would like to form this SG. And a couple of months later, in February, we kick off the SG, right? So you can see a lot of people are doing different things. And our job is to make sure that we continue to align so that we don't duplicate effort. And not only that, we will make sure that the things that we do, because of further alignment, it will be hopefully a bit more strategic, a bit more longer lasting, a bit more further reaching. For example, right, all the things, those 4 different areas of activities, look at February 2023, the last 3 items that's colored in yellow. For the first time, we were able to go to an event and represent not just the BCS, not just the DPA, but the BCS and a large part of the tech sector together the DPA to say, hey, we need to look into addressing digital poverty. In March this year, so delighted again that when the UK Parliament issued a call for evidence regarding digital exclusion, instead of the BCS doing its own thing, the DPA doing its own thing, what we decided to do was to do a joint up effort to speak to the government with one voice. And therefore, this submission was BCS, DPA, supported by Tech UK, 13 tech leaders communities, and many others, Currys, and lots of them. So you can see the power of the network coming together as one voice, focused on this one issue. And of course, I'll be delighted today, you saw my second slide where I say a BCS exclusive. You are getting the exclusive today because yesterday we saw the launch of the National Delivery Plan at the House of Commons. The community or public launch will be this Thursday in Leeds. And you guys are going to be getting a preview about what we've learned from there. So hopefully, I hope that you'll find it to be of interest to you. right? To carry on, you can see one of our strategies within the SG is to socialize what we know, right? The more we can get people to know about what we know, helps others to start from a different place. As a snapshot here, you can see in the last 12 months, we cover a number of different topics. Look, in April, the 4th line down, we contributed towards the Tech for Good Summit, right? And you can see it's very broad ranging from different regions. You got UK national, you got London, you got Scotland, but you also have different topics. You got autism, dementia, older people, homelessness. So you can see this topic is really, really huge. And I'm so delighted that our community, BCS, and also outside BCS, has really come together to help us to get the message out, you know, not just only, but also to contribute towards, for example, you know, sharing with the community the things that we should know. So this is my call to you. If you are doing something in this area and you have expertise or you have stories to share, please get in touch with myself. Margaret is our committee member, Alistair is a committee member. Please share with us so that we can help to make sure that we can get the message out to a wider audience. Just like the call that we're doing today, which is for the audience in Scotland, but I'm sure there will be others that has networks that is beyond Scotland, right? And then for this year, I've already mentioned some of that. We kick off the new year with the topic on cost of living, and that was by far the best sort of in terms of numbers of people turning up for that webinar. Why? Because it's a topic that is of great interest to everybody. Yeah, and today I'm so delighted to be joining you, so that's why I'm listing there. Yeah, and then on Thursday, we will be participating in the community launch of the National Delivery Plan. Now, how will we solve this problem? And here is a simple explanation, right? The problem, I hope everybody is beginning to understand, is not a simple problem. It's not just about the one thing. It's about a number of things, right? About skills, lack of access to skills, to confidence, many, many things. Again, I'll explain in a moment. And the solution is it requires a joined up effort to do the thinking and to do the action. And that's what the SG, I like to think, has been doing a fairly decent job of doing that. Yeah, because if we were to try and do it on our own, it would be impossible. Neither any government nor the richest tech company or the richest individual billionaire can solve this problem on their own. But together we can, right? And how? And the approach is why it's called joining the dots, because the whole point of it is that we can all play to our strengths and bring what we can, rather than thinking that we have to solve all problems on our own. So here is an example of how the UK tech sector has come together. Here you will see a listing of 13 communities, the BCS by far being the largest. There's a number of other communities that I'm hoping to join. For example, the Worshipful Company of Information Technologies is a London-based tech community, but they are also very interested in that. I'm also a member of that because I work in London, and therefore that is also my community there. And one of the things that they champion is around homelessness, right? So I'm really delighted there. The other one that I'm hoping to also join up is the Institute for Engineering and Technology, IET. The IET is a founding member of the Digital Poverty Alliance. The BCS is not. The BCS should have been a founding member of the Digital Poverty Alliance. But it's by the by now, it doesn't matter. What is really important is that the BCS is coming out strongly supporting the Digital Poverty Alliance. For example, yesterday at the House of Commons, we have a large contingent from the BCS. You know, pretty much the whole policy team turn up. We also have our sponsor, Julia Atkinson, turning up. I was there to represent the specialist group and also this community of tech communities in the UK. So we want to show to everybody else that the tech sector is coming together to solve this problem. And why? Why are we doing that? The reason is because if you look at the purpose of the BCS, it's about making IT good for society. And as a technology professional for a long time, I've always been trying to use my skills and expertise to help organizations to be successful in using technology as an enabling technology. But you know what? During COVID, I then discovered that we have also contributed towards creating this huge issue of digital divide. I saw firsthand my 2 children trying to get an online education during COVID, and it was really hard. And that's why I started talking to a number of individuals, and very quickly, over 3 weeks, I managed to speak to 60 leaders representing many organizations. And here are some of the organizations that we've managed to join, because now I know what they know. We continue to keep creating, sort of expanding the network so that we can all start from a different place, a place of knowledge rather than a place of ignorance. And I think you'll be delighted to see that the Scottish Tech Army on the right-hand side is somewhere in the middle. We're also very well connected to Scotland, right? COP26, the BCS was there too. We were there, and a number of my strong sort of committee members and supporters of this topic is from Scotland. Alistair being one of them. So really delighted to have that strong connection. And by the way, just so that I know you know, but I want you to know that I need to tell others about what is happening in Scotland. They don't really know that Scotland is actually, in some ways, doing a lot better than in England. For example, you have the Connecting Scotland program, and I spoke to some of the people that created that program. So I got to learn a lot from how Scotland was able to be more successful in rolling out devices to people who need them. Yeah, but that can't be said about the rest of the UK, especially England, because it is so fragmented, right? I'm connected with London. I know what London is doing. I know what Birmingham is doing. I know what Leeds is doing. I know what Sunderland is doing, but they are not joined up. So I think there's a big job to play to see how we can help to bring them closer together so that we can all really learn and share with each other. Now, if what I do today for you, you cannot remember a thing, or you find it's boring, or you don't think it's of interest, I hope that this one slide is something that you will remember, right? It's called the Joining the Dots dashboard. And why is this important? It's because I'm hoping that this one diagram will give you a better understanding of this issue, and also a better understanding of how we potentially can solve this issue. Okay, so here I go, right? I started thinking that this is about starting a device donation campaign. And by the way, when I talked to those 60 leaders over 3 weeks, that's what everybody thought. So that's the reason why I did what I did, because how do I play back to everybody the interesting insights that I have gathered from speaking to 60 IT leaders, right? Because that counts for something. By the way, in my spare time, I'm a researcher. So I hope that I was able to use my sort of research skills to do something useful with that data, because otherwise I'm just an opinion leader. Why should you listen to me? Why should you believe me? I'm hoping that the work that I've done, being a bit more evidence-based, would help everybody to say, hey, you know what? We should listen. Why? Because it's not just about one person's view. It's backed up by quite a lot of people, right? So here, what I've learned is that, digital inclusion, to enable somebody to participate fully, they need a device, clearly, but it has to be an appropriate device for that person. A younger person, let's say a toddler trying to get into primary school, probably they may start with a tablet, swipe left, right, left. That might be work for them. But if you look at an older person who knows nothing about the digital world, they probably don't even need a smartphone. They just need something simple that allows them to use it for talking and connecting with family members, right? So that's the point of making sure that we have the right device per person, not sharing per person. That is the vision. That is what we hope to achieve. But that is not the reality today. Today, there's lots of people who's got nothing, right? Especially for disadvantaged families. Guess what they have? They have a single device, a mobile phone, unlimited data that they have to share across the entire family. And they have to make a choice whether they should not pay for that connectivity so that they can put food on the table. That is the stark reality for those people who are in that space. And It's a lot of them, right? We should remember it's not just something that we take for granted. Oh, everybody's on the internet. No, there's a lot of people that still not being able to even solve this problem. And I want people to know, instead of creating yet another device donation campaign, we should be working towards contributing towards a few efforts that will help you. If you have a local charity that's doing that, contribute towards that. If you want to contribute towards it at a national level, the Good Things Foundation, they have been working towards creating a national device bank. I'm also aware of a few others. So as soon as I know more, I will be putting here. And why is it here? Because this is about signposting. If I make you know what I know, then guess what? We are no longer starting from the same place. So that's about the device. Now let's have a look at the data connectivity. If you have a device with no data, that is useless, right? Where do you get the data from? So during COVID, a lot of people would have gone to the providers by asking them for free SIM cards. It's not easy. You got to answer a lot of questions, and not only that, they only last for 6 months. So clearly, that's not a scalable solution. So again, what we want to do is to make sure that everybody's aware that the Good Things Foundation has created a data bank, national data bank, where they already have Nominet, Virgin, Vodafone, Three. And the idea here is that if we can encourage all of the telecoms operators to contribute towards the data bank, even BT, right? EEBT is one company now. Guess what? That is where we stand a chance of making sure that if somebody has a device but no data, we can give them the data, rather than you have to solve the device problem and then solve the data problem separately. Okay. Now, if you have those two things, think about it, right? If you are at work, you know that if you're an employee and you have some technical issues with the devices that you have. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Times Higher Education, and my laptop has broken down 4 times in the last 3 years. There's nothing I could do about it. I can't solve my own problem. I can't. I need somebody to help me. But you know what? I have the privilege of being able to call my IT help desk and get some help. So now take yourself out of the corporate world, the working world where you have that support, into the real world where people who are not at work anymore, or people who are just not in that space, they don't have a device. But guess what? We thought we're helping them by giving them a device. They may not have data. Okay, so somehow they manage to get data. But if they have the device and the data, when they have a problem, either to get started or to solve a problem, how do you do this? I was at the launch event yesterday at the House of Lords, and somebody gave me this example, right? So it was a local charity in London who was helping their members. So they managed to give out a device to somebody to use, and guess what? For over 2 months, due to being able to connect with this person is from both sides, because it's a charity organization, therefore it's run by volunteers, therefore you are always having somebody to keep, not be the same person to help this person. For over 2 months, they did not manage to help this person, right? And eventually they did. And guess what was the problem? It was because this person's device was set to flight mode, and he did not know that was the case, and therefore to set it off. So here is an example where, just imagine, would that not be nice if there's a tech support there that you can call when you are in need of help that can help you? I will say a few words about this later on, because there is an initiative going on that will help to solve that problem. Right? The motivation, confidence is a dimension that is beyond what any one of us can do, because it's not just about us. It's not about that individual. If that individual doesn't have the motivation or confidence, then all these things that is being provided will not be successful. So we also need to understand how to address this dimension. And this dimension is where the local people that is in their local communities, that is reaching out to those people that needs help. Those are the ones that matter, because they are the ones that can help, right? For example, we are working on a pilot with Age Concern South End. We're not solving the problem for the old age pensioners directly themselves. What we are doing is to support the volunteers who are supporting those pensioners, because they are the ones that knows them, and they are the ones that knows how to help them, right? So in terms of motivation and confidence, it's so important that you have somebody who knows you that can help you. It could be a family member too, right? Now, skills, this is one area that everybody knows, right? But it's also a big challenge in the sense that There are so many things that is skills related. There are so many providers of skills training, but how do we know what are the places to go to get the right support? So here are just some examples that I'm signposting for people, right? I want you to know that there's something called Digital Champions because they are providing digital literacy skills training and support for people who need that. There's also the online center network that is run by the Good Things Foundation. And there's also the Key Stage 3 Open Tech Skills that is being supported by Open UK for that top age group. So you can see skills is clearly necessary, essential, but it's not a thing that is done, right? It's not like when you're done with the course, you're done, because remember, this world of digital, it keeps evolving. The day will come where, right now, I'm the Chief Technology Officer, that I know what I'm doing, but the day will come where I'll be joining the population of older people who feels that the pace of technological changes would pass me by. I will lose confidence and I will not want to get anywhere near that because I do not want to be embarrassed by it anymore. Okay, the day will come for me, and that's why I'm now very worried about it. Why? Because now I understand why it's impacting people who are already there today. And before that, I do not understand that space, but now I do. Right? Career opportunities is yet another one. There's a lot of IT professionals and leaders like me and you and many of us here that we say we want to help in some way. And that could be through apprenticeship, work placement, and mentoring, right? So there's another dimension that we can help people who wants to get in that space. Cyber safe practices is really, really important in the sense that if we can support everybody with all these things, we will still be targeted, we will still fall into traps of being taken advantage of. And it happens to the best of us, let alone the ones that don't even know that it's happening to them. So we really got to pay attention to how do we solve this problem. I was given another example by because I'm in the education sector. So one of the IT leaders told me that in her institution, when you think that students are smart and they have the means to get access, one thing that they fall foul of is the fact that they don't really know that they are victims of fraud. And my daughter, who's at uni today, said to me, that is exactly what happened. One of her flatmates got scammed. They empty out his bank account. And we also know the story that once you are on that list, you will continue to be targeted. And true enough, he was targeted yet again a second time, a few months later. So this is a real problem. The other dimension we need to be aware of is being inclusive, right? And inclusive in terms of, if you look at the digital solutions that we are putting out today, are we designing it to be inclusive for everybody, or we are just being exclusive for the people who can, right? And the truth of the matter is that if you look at the 80-20 rule that the tech sector has been using, we are clearly designing for the 80% of the population that is able to do something with it. So we're rolling out people who may have other needs, such as disabled people, people with neurodiverse needs. So you can see there's a lot of things that we have not taken into account. So again, I'll be saying a few words around that in a moment about what we're doing about this space. Connect and communicate is what I do, what Alyssa does, and what Margaret does too, right? One of the things, the easiest thing that we all can do, including everybody who comes to this call, is please help us share what you just learned today with others so that we are starting from a position of understanding and knowledge about this really huge and complex topic. Do not start from scratch. Do not start from a place of ignorance, because if you do, then we'll be starting from the first dot and only the first dot. What I would like everybody to remember is to remember this dashboard of at least 10 dots. And the last one by no means is about research and data. There's a lot of research out there, but they're not joined up. So the Digital Poverty Alliance last June, they published a first report about the UK, how they studied more than 100 reports, spoken to more than 100 researchers to put together once and for all the landscape of digital poverty in the UK. And that's how that report has led to yesterday's launch and the Thursday's launch of the National Delivery Plan, because for the first time in the UK, we are now joined up in terms of understanding the landscape based on research, based on real data. So I'm hoping that you will find this useful, and please help to contribute towards this dashboard by saying, hey, Freddie, I'm aware of this thing that everybody should know. So let me know so that I can then update this dashboard. It's being updated monthly. It's on the BCS website, so you can get a copy of this if you want to, or get in touch with me. I'll send you the latest. Right now, I will now want to take the next 5-10 minutes before we go to question and answers to give you the exclusive of the National Delivery Plan launch yesterday. Right, and you can see it has been a journey. It started with that evidence based launch last year, and now we are in a position to talk about the National Delivery Plan. So 3 key messages. Right, first one is about, sorry, it's blocking my screen, so I need to move this away. Right, we need to end digital poverty together by having a single inclusion strategy. We do not have one today, right? The last digital inclusion strategy was published back in 2014. It's no longer fit for purpose. So we need to work together, and the BCS is playing a strong role together with the DPA to hopefully advise and guide the UK government, regardless of political party, to make sure that we have a single strategy to deal with this. The second message is that digital access is a basic right. We should no longer think of it as a luxury, right? This is as basic as utilities, access to water, to a roof over our head, to electricity, and therefore also to, broadband access, so that we can get access to the internet and to services that is out there. Yeah, and then the third message here is to understand that to solve this problem, it's not about the government solving this or to Scotland solving this. It's about to make sure that we empower everybody, including the local communities, including individuals as ourselves, that we can all do something about this. Right, so here are the 6 missions. By the way, it's not been easy, right? Can you imagine trying to distill this hugely complex issue into 6 missions? But we got to start somewhere. So these 6 missions is a way to construct the National Delivery Plan into 6 action areas, right? So you can see the first one is about creating awareness, right? So I think using policy, using strategy is a way to do that. So that's the first one, right? The second one is to ensure affordable connectivity. So this is the one whereby we need to get the government and the telecoms operators to work together to provide broadband access for free for those who really need it. Right, the third one is around improving standards of accessibility, safety, right? So you saw some of that in the dashboard, because currently, a lot of websites that are being built is not fit for purpose because it failed on the web accessibility guidelines, right? We don't pay attention to those things. We also don't pay attention to cyber-safe practices, not in terms of the people affected, but the people who are designing them. And also, I mentioned about inclusiveness. We really got to design it not just for the people who can. Right, and you can see here by 2030, this is about making sure that we have a larger portion of the population that has got essential digital skills. Number 5 here, enhanced knowledge and understanding of digital poverty among stakeholders. So this is about making sure that everybody comes together, governments, government departments, public sector coming together to solve this. Right, and last but not least is what I hope you will take away from the presentation today, is that every one of us does have that local capacity, either as an individual or through our local community, to do something in a more joined-up way. Right, and the plan is, if you think of the plan more as a framework rather than as a plan, because there are not specific things that says we will do this, therefore we'll get there. It creates a framework that allows everybody to come together and work together on this. So to get to 2030 to end digital poverty, we really need to break it down into small chunks, right? Things that is happening in 23, 24, we got to be super clear, super accurate about them, so that we know that when we do them, we achieve them, we can move on to the next stage. Yeah, so it's about helping everybody to think about whether what they do, is it short-term or long-term? And if it's long-term, what are the sort of progressive measures that you can see to get you there? We need to be able to measure success. We need to be able to measure outcome. Otherwise, how do we know we're going to get there? So in conclusion, right, this is the biggest part, right? Because I've spent my time to share it with you today. Now I'm hoping that you will take this away with you so that you know how to get involved. And here is what how you can get involved. You can get involved by just being a supporter. Yes, I'm passionate. For you all to come to this event today, shows to me that you are already interested in it. So you are clearly a supporter. So please continue to do that by joining the BCS specialist group. You just need to, if you're already a BCS member, just say, hey, I want to be part of this. Join the Digital Poverty Alliance, right? Join the community hub, because the community hub is where anybody who is interested in this, we now have a space that you can come to, regardless of who you are, where you come from, non-BCS, BCS, government, we can all be there, right? You can also become a BCS, you can also become an ambassador, so you're stronger than just a supporter. You can also pledge action, like I will show you 3 in a moment. You can also be part of one of those initiatives by being a supporting member, or if you're already doing something, then tell us about it and let us know what you need so that we can all come and join you to help and support you. So to end this presentation, I want to share with you 3 examples. The first one is what we're doing with the action area around creating the tech support. So the 2 big tech vendors, Unisys and ServiceNow, because that's what they do. Unisys, they're already providing tech support to companies in 37 languages globally. They are providing their expertise and know-how to help us get this tech support pilot going. That's amazing, right? Because if we learn from that tech support pilot, we want to be able to scale that across the UK and also potentially globally, because that is what we all need, right? We need solutions that can scale. The second example here is, if we are building digital solutions today, most of us are building it for able-bodied people with some skills. But we now know that the wider world, outside world, do not have those criteria satisfied. There may be disabled people, there may be people with require extra needs. Therefore, it's not fit for purpose for them. So how do we create digital solutions that can be better suited for them? And this is why, again, it's a call to action for everybody to join us, to contribute. If you're building something today, contribute towards this thing called the National Catalog of Digital Personas. Because now we have a catalog that you can then reference and contribute to, so that we can get there quicker by building solutions that can truly be inclusive for the people that you're supporting, regardless of where they are. And then the last but not least is a very recent thing, just in December, in April. I'm part of the education sector. I work for Times Education, and we organize this thing called Digital Universities Week, talking about anything and everything to do with digital. What we did on the last day was a call to action. We asked the sector to come and join us to create a sector-wide digital inclusion strategy. Now, it may sound like, okay, what is this thing? What is really interesting is that you should see those universities that sign up here. And Alistair, I will add Abertay University to this list too. So thank you for your support, right? And what is really interesting is that if you ask people in those universities about what they're doing in digital inclusion, you'll find that there will be a lot of individuals doing something. But if you ask them whether is there such a thing as a joined up digital inclusion strategy that represents their university, I don't think the answer is very clear. And I know that for a fact because I've spoken to many of these universities here, and that's what they told me, right? So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is this. Every university has a digital strategy. So my challenge to the sector is, what are you doing about digital inclusion? Digital inclusion has to be part of your digital strategy. So if you say you have one, I would like to appeal to you to say, please make sure that you have digital inclusion as part of that overall strategy, not as a separate thing, or not just as in small print that you say you do. It has to be very clearly laid out about what exactly is digital inclusion strategy. So it's right on time. Alistair, is 6:45 now. Happy to take any questions and comments.
Perfect timing, Freddie. Thank you so much. A really, really interesting and informative talk. hopefully colleagues realise and recognise that there's the opportunity to get involved. Some really, really good questions and points made through the comments as we've gone along. Yes, this is not a simple thing to do, and we don't want to appear patronising or trite, but we need to recognise that digital poverty is an issue. Freddie's quite right to say that access to digital activity is a basic human right now, and we don't want to be patronising in any way, shape or form. And yes, of course, we're looking at digital poverty. We need to look at poverty, and that's a big thing and a bigger thing for everyone to be involved in. But it doesn't detract from the work that Freddie and colleagues are leading on. The Digital Poverty Alliance is doing some fantastic work. We need to push at government, both in Scotland and in the UK, and indeed globally, around how we address this. So before I open for questions, I'd just like to thank Freddie on behalf of all. And we're not just from the Tayside and Fife branch. We've got people from Bristol, from Bournemouth, from Preston, from Frankfurt. It's absolutely fantastic.